Doomsday 3.
We had Doomsday 1. He came from one of the toughest areas. I think it's most of his country, of course. Praying for his safety and got people on the defense talking about it. You better get your ass to the ball. You better get to the ball. I just gotta say, when it comes to Dallas, different. For sure, and they would have thrown it off because this guy gets off you.
And then I go to bed every night like, G man, I promise you that What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here, of course, with my main man Kelly K9. Nothing stops us. No rain, sleet, snow, or hail. I'm bunkered down at a hotel room dealing with the weather, but hopefully I'll be getting back home tomorrow. But the show must go on. So we got a good one. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that share. All that kind of good stuff. Kelly, first of all, how you doing, my man?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. It's cold up here, but it's cold everywhere. I'll tell you what I like about it being cold is I'm about to crack me a little beer right quick, and I got this sucker sitting in the garage. I don't even have to put it in the refrigerator, man. I could just buy that case, toss it up in the garage, and start drinking out of it. But it's so cold that it's got ice in it already. So
it's so cold it would freeze the hand off an Eskimo. So we're going to we got a great show. Listen, guys. Cowboys, this is kind of like we're going to get into the AFC NFC Championship Games. We're going to mix in some other stuff, but the state of the Cowboys is, there's a lot of, I did a show yesterday, man. The Cowboy fans, we're on the edge of that cliff, and I'm not sure if people are ready to jump. I don't know if, with the coaching searches going on, you saw Aaron Glenn is now with the Jets. They're bringing in Schottenheimer again for a second interview. The guy's been here 2 years. How many interviews does he need? You don't know who he is already? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and then you got Ben Johnson signed with the Bears. So, two of the coordinators, two of the hotter coordinators, I would say, in the game with Glenn and Johnson both swooped up off the table. Cowboys didn't even reach out to either one of them. So
no, of course not. Of course, not. Give him a courtesy call. So, but we got the man who's all over social media. He's got his podcast going, got a couple podcasts I think going, but it is none other than, I'm going to say, Terrence Parsons Jr., better known as TP. But we're going to get him to the stage and let's get this thing right. Let me fix a few things here. We got to slide you around, get you center stage where you should be. How you doing today, TP?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Good. Well, first of all, welcome to the cave. Before we get rolling, just run down the laundry list where obviously people know where to find you. They better know where to find you, but go ahead and plug your podcast. I know you got a new one dropping that.
We got a new one.
What's going on?
My guy Capers and Tad Prescott. We got a new podcast coming. I think the episode's gonna be tomorrow. We should be dropping one tomorrow. It's called Unwanted Opinion. We threw it together. I think it's going to be a good one. We're going to have some guests. It's going to be fun. You can find me all socials at @TParsBoy, _ between T-Pars and the boy. And yeah, man, I give great content. I try to be real, giving with the information. As best as I can.
No, and we appreciate it. Before we get into the Cowboy stuff, and I want Kelly to jump in and start asking some questions and peppering you a little bit, I read something about you. I got to look things up, and I knew this about Micah Parsons. He was a wrestler, and I understand wrestling was more your thing. I was a wrestler in high school, so I have a love for wrestling. I think every kid should wrestle. I think it changes just everything about your mindset, growing up in business or growing up as an athlete. How are you as a wrestler? Could you beat Micah or what? What's going on?
Yeah, growing up, now, I can't really tie up with him too much, but But yeah, man, wrestling is definitely a great sport. Like I tell everybody, if you play football, you should only wrestle. Like wrestle and play football. Like wrestling gets you how you need to be: balance, agility, strength, inner strength. You know what I mean? It even gives you that mindset that, you know what I mean, push through a lot of things. You know what I mean? Even when you're tired, you know what I mean, you know you can go that extra mile. You know what I mean? Wrestling teaches you a lot of that, a lot of discipline. Definitely things you can definitely take with you through life. You know what I mean? So I love wrestling. It was more of an individual sport. You know what I mean? An individual team sport. You know. It was something that, like, you know what I mean, kind of found me for real. I had my computer teacher in middle school. I was a basketball player. He kind of put me on wrestling, got me into it, and yeah, definitely fell in love with it for sure.
Yeah, and no joke in Pennsylvania for sure. So
Yeah, it was one of those things that, like, it teaches you real early that, hey man, you get in what you put out. Like, you know what I mean, if you put in the work, you're gonna get good real fast. Actually.
yeah. But Kelly, what's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I mean, the wrestling thing, that's something I got, my son, he's in wrestling. So it's definitely one of the one-on-one sports. And I'm sure, Mike probably would be a handful anyway. We don't want to hear about Mike getting a wrestling injury and getting hurt by OTP over here, man. Injury, man. So we don't want to hear nothing about that. But, there's a lot going around Cowboys Nation right here. But one of the big hot topics that we got, and it's been going on for a while, has been this Cowboys. How can they get over the hump? What really is this problem, and identifying the problem? And this last week, we kind of saw some things, and it was a couple of former Cowboys going back and forth with Micah and with Dez, and they're talking about the culture issue, right? And they're talking about, is it the front office? Is it the players that can affect culture? And that's been a really big topic that we've talked about with the fans. We've talked about it amongst ourselves. And it's kind of one of the things about it. It seems like it's very opinionated. Some people are saying it's Jerry in the front office. There's other people that say the players. Some people say the players can't overcome Jerry. So I want to get your thoughts on that. What do you think is going on with this Cowboys team and with the so-called culture around it? You think it's more front office, or do you think these players can actually step up and affect the culture themselves and be that big of a difference?
It's both. It's definitely both. You know what I mean? Yeah, ownership definitely sets a culture, but ultimately it is up to the players and the coaching staff to really, you know what I mean, enforce a culture. And it's kind of hard, you know what I mean, when everything's not aligned. I'm not saying it's not, like, it's definitely hard when everything's not aligned, you know what I mean? Front office and coaching staff definitely have to be aligned, and I think that's the part that's missing. You know what I mean? We've seen guys come in and, you know what I mean, they ask for things and they can't get them from the front office. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean, you can't. It got to be both ways. You know what I mean? The front office and the head coach got to really work in tandem, and I think that's the ultimate part that's missing. You know what I mean? That coach that can work in tandem and get these guys to, you know what I mean, ultimately do what's the best for the team. And then, you know what I mean, on the players, you know what I mean, it's on them to, you know what I mean, really establish a culture within the players, you know what I mean? Because the coach can only do so much, you know what I mean? The players ultimately have to hold themselves accountable and uphold a standard. And that's also, I feel like that's lacking too, you know what I mean? I feel like you got guys on the team that are bought in, and then you got some guys that, you know what I mean, they still want to do their own thing. And, you know what I mean, we got to weed those guys out and, you know what I mean, see who really want to be committed to the cause. And
I agree. I was just going to say, I agree 100%. I just wanted to add one thing on culture because, you know, people may or may not know. I mean, you played football at a college level. You played football. You played baseball, basketball, or all sports, wrestling. You know, like growing up, I made the comment, to me, football culture matters the most in football more than any other sport. And there's a reason why you see a team like Washington, who gets rid of the owner that was a major problem, brings in a general manager, gets a new coach, gets the new quarterback, brings some players in. And this is a team that won 4 games. I still don't believe they're as good as the record is, but I think culture matters more than any other sport than in football. I think it's the most important. Do you agree with that, Ian?
I do agree with the culture. I would say something that comes off of culture is really camaraderie. That's what's really missing, like the camaraderie. Like, and with the NFL, it's kind of hard to get. You know what I mean? Because guys aren't always together, and you know what I mean. But you know what I mean. There's teams together, like you know what I mean, that we've seen people leave Dallas and say like, hey, you know what I mean. We over here, you know what I mean, we're hanging out together, we're eating together. Like that's a big part, you know what I mean? Playing for the guy next to you, you know what I mean? That's a big part of winning, you know what I mean? Being bought in, and like you said, culture and camaraderie, I feel like those two go hand in hand. And yeah, that you need that. Like that without that, you see what you see on the field this year, for real, to be honest with you, without that. And, you know what I mean, it's sad because we're really a talented team. And, you know what I mean, we just don't play as a team, and you just see it on the field. And I think, you know what I mean, towards the end, we got a lot better with it. But I want to see it from a more consistent standpoint. That's why I was really agreeing with bringing everybody back. And now it's like you said, we're hanging on a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to go over the cliff. I don't know if you're, if I don't know your age, so I don't know if you're 90s. Did you get to enjoy, because you were a Cowboys fan? I mean, your family's Cowboys fans in Pennsylvania, but I don't know.
I'm about to be 30 in next month. So
all right, so you're in that bracket that hadn't seen nothing from these Cowboys.
Yeah, for sure.
But something Kelly and I have had a lot of the Super Bowl champions of the Cowboys on this show, and the one thing that sticks in my head is James Washington. He was one of the safeties on the team. He was just a blue collar, but he was a leader guy. Wasn't a superstar, but he was one of the leaders. He said that, to your point of holding each other, the accountability, the camaraderie, they were more worried about disappointing their teammates than the coaches. Like if I missed a tackle or Michael Irvin missed a catch, they were more worried about what their teammates were going to say more than what the coaches are going to say. So I think to that point that you're saying is, I just don't know if we have that on that team, on this team for whatever reason, but it's definitely, you don't feel that bond that you see with some of the other great teams in the NFL.
Yeah, because you know what I mean, when you have that bond, you know what I mean, you can really dig deep, and you know what I mean, you can really get things done, and you know what I mean, when the odds are stacked against you. So you know what I mean, you see it with a bunch of teams around the NFL, you know what I mean. Chiefs for one of them, you know what I mean. I feel like by far they have the best culture around, you know what I mean. They got guys really bought in, and they really getting things done over there. So it's just like, I just feel like that's one of the things that's missing. And it's because it's more of a business, you know what I mean? Guys aren't trying to get attached to each other, you know what I mean? Guy can be gone tomorrow, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that, you know what I mean, your leaders have to really set that precedent, you know what I mean? Regardless of, you know what I mean, who's staying around and, you know what I mean, who's leaving, you know what I mean? You got to, even with the new guys, you got to bring those new guys in and treat them like family. And, you know what I mean, really get these guys bought in. And I just feel like that's the part that's missing, for real.
Kelly?
Yeah, I know. It's funny because I know that Jerry Jones has talked about, that he'd do anything to win a Super Bowl, and talks about how much he wants to win a Super Bowl. And so it just seems this offseason, though, and not just this offseason, we're just starting the offseason, but last offseason too, Jerry just seems real, like he's just doing things way different. And it almost seems like the opposite of wanting to win a Super Bowl. I mean, you start last offseason off, he doesn't bring anybody in. And I mean, I remember at times seeing Micah say, hey, let's bring this guy, it kind of recruit, so to speak. A lot of these guys do that now. And I'm just wondering, like, what's your thoughts on Jerry? Why do you think he's this weird kind of behavior? Because now he gets rid of Mike McCarthy, and, they're interviewing a guy that is – hasn't been even requested by another team for an interview at all. But now you got Schottenheimer as one of the favorites. That's really puzzling a lot of the fans and to me myself, because I feel like for that you should just kept Mike McCarthy. So what's your kind of thoughts on Jerry and how he's been running things, this last 365 days, so to speak?
Well, to be honest, Jerry wanted to keep Mike McCarthy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. He did.
You know what I mean? Because honestly, like, and I was telling everybody else, like, I want to keep Mike McCarthy because I'm afraid of who else we go get. because the way Jerry operates, you know, we're not going to get anything much better than Mike McCarthy. So I was fine with keeping Mike McCarthy. And, you know what I mean? And that keeps the camaraderie thing, you know what I mean? The culture, you know what I mean? You build off of what you've been building off of. And now we got to start brand new. And I don't like that. And I feel like they're trying to keep Schottenheimer because of that. But, like, nah. If we out with the old, we out with the old. Let's bring something completely new in, you know what I mean? So I don't get that. I don't like it. But, you know, we know what type of coach Jerry wants, you know? Incentive base, don't want a lot of money, not going to cause a lot of problems. And, you know, Brian Schottenheimer might fall right in line. We have no idea. I don't like it, though.
You know, the one thing I talked to a former player, and we were kind of just texting back and forth, and he, you know, his opinion was Jerry has just become more stubborn than ever. It's almost to your point. He wanted Mike McCarthy back, but he jacked him around so much, and then he tried to put him in a corner. They didn't give him permission to go speak to Chicago. Then you back him in a corner. Then if the rumor's true, and Jane Slater, you know, she's pretty good at her job, that they wanted to put Jason Witten, you know, have Jason Witten on staff as an heir apparent, and Mike McCarthy's kind of like, yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and bounce. It sounds right to me. That sounds like a Jerry thing. But do you think Jerry is just getting so stubborn because of what he's doing? Because he needs this, to me, in my opinion, and you probably know better, this team needs a shot in the arm of a coach. Now, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't in favor of Dion, but they need a guy like Dion. They need someone that's bigger than Jerry that's going to take the limelight away from him and then get some instant credibility, accountability, you know, with these players and with this organization, because the status quo, they've been doing these coaches since Parcells, and the status quo is not working.
Yeah. Jerry really got to get out of his own way. But honestly, are we sure Jerry's the one making these decisions? I don't know. I'm not quite sure he's the one making these decisions.
You think it's his son?
Yes. I think he's the one making these decisions. I don't think there's just no way. I just from the way the team was ran before to the way it's right now, you know, it's just, I feel like it's a night and day difference. You know, even earlier, you know what I mean. Early like 2000s, 2010s, like we would get somebody, like even if it was just like whatever.
Well, they made
Hardy, we would get somebody, you know what I mean?
Like. Right, they traded Joey Galloway, Leroy Glover. They got in free agency. Yeah, they would. It didn't work out, but Roy Williams, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like we would get somebody. Like, you know what I mean. Jerry, I feel like Jerry was always known for at least making somewhat of a splash. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm not too sure Jerry's the one making these decisions. You know, and the one who was in charge of the salary cap and the one who keeps talking about the salary cap and money, he got to be the one in charge of these decisions. That's just me.
Yeah.
Jerry just got the face on it.
We had a person in the chat earlier, and they asked if you ever had a conversation, a one-on-one with Jerry Jones at all.
No, I mean I talked to him, but like never like one-on-one, long type of conversation. Just more like a hi, bye, how you doing type of thing.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna say next time if you do get a chance and you see him, man, pull him to the side and tell him, hey, man, I'm just telling you, Cowboys Nation don't know what the hell you're doing right now. You don't know what the hell you're doing. Yeah, like, Jerry might be like, look, Micah, we can't have him in the building no more. He's questioning me. Know how Jerry gets when people start questioning him and how he's running the business. We don't see that on that one.
I mean, you need that, man. You need opposition. You know what I mean? Opposition make you stronger. You know what I mean? You need a guy. You know what I mean? That's gonna tell you what it is and what it ain't. You know what I mean? Because if everybody up there blowing smoke around you, you're gonna get the same results that we've been getting. For real.
Yeah. Let me ask you about this season, because this was a season for this Cowboys team that was tough, right? Obviously, the injuries, everything aside, all this. But, I felt Micah Parsons, this was his best year. And maybe not statistically, but I just think he grew. I think it's Micah Parsons' team now. I think to the leader that he's developed into over his time, I think he's kind of taken the reins of it. Did you see that as well? How do you feel about his season?
Yeah, it was like besides the injury, I seen everything that I expected. Coming in after the Great Bay loss, he wanted to be a better leader. So he kind of took that accountability, and I think it kind of shown on the field. He put in the work to be better. That's one thing. I can say about him. He's not one. I feel like he critiques himself more than anybody does. So like each year, he already knows what he has to go into the offseason and focus on. He does that, and like I said, I tell everybody that if you really watch the film, he's gotten better every year, and I feel like this year was going to be his defensive player of the year, and I feel like if he didn't get hurt, it would have been, 12 sacks in 12 games,
Oh, yeah.
His impact was definitely felt, and I feel like he really, showed you, why he's a must keep on the team. He really wants to win, and he's really trying to change the culture. You can see it, you can feel it, and he just needs some help. He needs some guys that's going to fall in line with him and get these guys to really buy in and really form that camaraderie. He's trying. But you can't do it by himself. Everybody, everybody got this. Everybody.
Yeah. And real quick before Kelly, you jump in, just can you settle this for me? We get a lot of Eagle fans that are in this chat. Can you just say it loud and clear one more time that who was Micah's favorite team and your all's favorite team growing up?
Micah kind of didn't really have no team. He was kind of like
what about your dad?
But me and my dad, definitely Cowboys fans. Micah, he wanted to be a Cowboy. Last game at Penn State, we were in Dallas for that week, and we were in AT&T Stadium. He played, and we were just like, this is where I want to be at. Dallas, lovely. We wanted to be here. We love the schools. We love the football here. Wish wrestling was bigger, but I'm gonna have something to do with that.
But hey, maybe that's something you can impact, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You gotta have something to do with that. Definitely gotta get the wrestling down here for sure. Definitely gotta start a travel team or something. Because like I said, I want all my kids to wrestle.
Yeah.
And,
I forced my kid into wrestling. I'll never forget because he was really small. So I was small in high school. So what do? You wrestle. I mean, it's the easiest. At least you're fighting someone your own size. I brought him to this camp, and wrestling in our area is pretty big. I mean, it's gotten huge over the years, since I've wrestled. And I drop him off, and I didn't know the camp that it was going to be, but it ended up being like a really advanced camp. And he's never wrestled a day in his life. And he gets out, he gets in the car, and I'm like, how'd it go? And he just, he let loose, man. He said, please do not make me go back in there. Do not. And I said, listen, man, I said, give it a week. And if at the end of the week you don't want to do it anymore, just be done with it. Be done with it. I said, at least you say you tried, you didn't quit. And by every day, it got a little bit better. And they used to take pictures at the end of the camp, and the look on his face the first day to the fifth day, it was totally different. So that's what I think wrestling, if you stick with it, you go through those times. And when you reach that mountaintop and you start becoming the one that's winning instead of taking the beating, it changes your whole perspective of everything.
For sure. Like, you're going to have to climb that mountain for sure, And that's probably the toughest part about it, And that's why I say, life principles, Climb that mountain, never give up, Keep going. And like I said, and one day it's going to click for you. And once it clicks for you, there's no looking back, Only you can stop you at that point, So that's definitely one thing I loved about wrestling for sure.
Yeah, well, I came up from Texas, but I moved up here and I'm in the Midwest right now. My son just started wrestling his first year, and he just started as a junior, which I told him it was going to be hard because I'm telling you, kids up here start wrestling when they come out the womb. They're wrestling with the doctor already, so he's learning. It's a very humbling experience for him, man. He's loving it. It's been a humbling experience for him. He ain't done too bad, but he's definitely had some moments where he's been humble, but he loves it. He's keeping going. He's going to do a wrestling club in the off season to keep on going, do it again next year. So I'm loving watching him though. That one-on-one and just kind of like, especially those moments when he gets one on his opponent or he tosses somebody over his shoulder. Man, gets me out of my seat just about more than the Cowboys did this year.
The
Cowboys.
Guys,
I'm like, man, I feel
like once you really get to understanding wrestling and you know what I mean, how everything works, wrestling is definitely an exciting sport when you can watch, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. Well, so let me ask you a question because I'm gonna circle back to this kind of coaching thing that we had. You kind of touched on the fact that you kind of were hoping that they stayed with McCarthy and just kind of kept it in space and just kind of rolled it out again. Obviously Zimmer played. He had that defense playing well towards the end of the season. Everybody kind of started to look a little bit more cohesive. Obviously, we had a ton of injuries. Now, if you had to say, who would you say is your coaching favorite? If you had a guy that you could pick right now, who would you want to coach this Cowboys team?
Like realistically, or like just
any pick you could get, anyone you can.
Anybody, realistic or not.
If I could, I'd definitely get Dion. But realistically, the type of coach that they would probably want, John Gruden, man.
I like Gruden too. I like Gruden. Man.
He knows football. He knows how to get those players, run through a wall for him. That's the type of coach that we need. And, I like the way that, what he was doing in Oakland before, that thing happened. I like what he was doing in Oakland. And I feel like, he can really get these guys down here that really play for him and get that camaraderie going. He's known for, being a player's coach. So.
Yeah. No. I'm a big Gruden fan. I think that's one. Like I'm not like I didn't want the retread like the old guy. Wanted to get someone fresh and young, but that would be the one guy because I saw what he did in Tampa. Right, I live in Tampa.
Yeah.
And able to get a team that was a lot of talent, but just couldn't get to that next level, and he was able to do that. Make a couple moves and get them over the hump real quick.
He's a smart guy, man. Smart coach, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to show some love to Hare with the super chat. Appreciate y'all repping the boys. Thanks, Mike. We'll rebound. Go Cowboys. And I think the Cowboys. I have this argument with people, and maybe TP, you can either call me crazy or say I'm not far off. But this is a talented football team. This is a rebuild.
Wait, bro.
This is 5-year project. We're going to have to go through this whole process. There is talent on this team. They just need, like you said, they need to get some culture in there. But, what's your –
I tell people all the time, bro, look at our roster. Our best players are either on the rookie contract or coming off or just came off. There's just no way we're about to be just rebuilding. Listen, without those injuries, we make the playoffs.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we're just down in the hole and we can't overcome this. We were a Dak Prescott injury go away from going back to the playoffs. Let's just be realistic. Forget those other injuries.
Yeah.
If Dak Prescott doesn't get hurt, we go back to the playoffs. And there's nobody that can tell me otherwise. As long as we start running the ball the way we were supposed to from the get-go, there's no way we don't go back to the playoffs.
Yeah, no.
That's why this year, this year, I feel like even if we don't do anything in free agency, a good draft class will put us right back where we need to be. We just need a coach. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not out on this team. I really want to see who they hire as coach. I really hope it's not no Schottenheimer.
Kellen Moore, what's your thoughts on Kellen Moore?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah.
We're all on the same page. We all agree.
I like Kellen Moore. I like Kellen Moore, but hold on.
She's here.
Clearly.
I was like, who's getting broke into? Does it Kelly? Was it my hotel room? I didn't know what was going on. You need to check that for a minute, TP?
No, you're good.
You're good. Let me ask you about Dak Prescott. Why do you think he is so polarizing to the fan base, to the national media? It's very reminiscent. You saw a lot of it in the Romo era with him, but I mean, to Dak, it's almost on another level. He's put up the numbers. He's played even in a lot of the playoff games that they say they lost. It really wasn't. I wouldn't put it all on him. I mean, there are a couple games he didn't play his best, but I wouldn't put the whole loss on him. I mean, why is he so polarizing to the fan base and just to the national media? Is it just a star on the helmet?
Can I be real?
Yeah, I want you to be.
All right. So the way I see it is, one, he's the most talked about quarterback in the NFL. You know what I mean? And when you're the most talked about, you know what I mean, you're going to be loved or you're going to be hated. For me, I feel like it's more of him being talked about and him being talked about in the mainstream media. You know what I mean? So when the Cowboys are winning, you know what I mean, Dak's great. You know what I mean? When the Cowboys are losing, it's all Dak's fault. You know what I mean? And a lot of people who aren't really watching the games, they buy into that, you know? So, you know what I mean? When you're buying into that, you know what I mean, it builds resentment. Listen, there's just no way that we can watch the same games and you're blaming Dak for the entirety of it. This is Dak's fault. If you come out and say this is Dak's fault, I can't take your opinion on football seriously because there's 11 guys on offense and there's 11 guys on defense. Blaming one player for a game is insane. You know what I mean? When, you know what I mean, we watch quarterbacks not play well at all. And, you know what I mean, they go to the big game. You know what I mean? It's way more than, like, quarterback has a lot to do with it when you're putting a lot on them. But when you're not putting a lot on the quarterback and your team is built around, we see with the Philadelphia Eagles right now. When your team is built around not needing a quarterback, or at least not needing the quarterback to be good, you can have a high success rate. Is it successful for winning the Super Bowl? Not necessarily. I don't think a team's ever really done it. But when you have a great defense, a quarterback that's not going to turn the ball over in the run game, your success level goes tremendously up. You don't need a great quarterback to win the Super Bowl. You don't even need a good quarterback to win the Super Bowl. Just decent, not turn the ball over, run the ball, great defense. You'll win 95.999% of games. Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have your little one-off. But you win the turnover battle and play great defense, you're going to win games. So that's why, like, putting it all on Dak is crazy, you know? If you go look at those losses, I don't think we ran for 100 yards, either one of those losses, you know? So
no, I think Kelly pointed that out in one of our shows.
You know what I mean? Like, how did we not run for 100 yards, you know what I mean, as a team?
Yeah.
And then expect to win, you know? And then, you know what I mean, on the verse, you know what I mean? And running the ball does two things. It keeps your defense off the field and it keeps your offense on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Offense is the best way to play defense sometimes, you know? Hold the ball. Eagles do it every day, you know? And it's just formulas to win, you know what I mean? Good coaches got good formulas, good schemes to win. And it's been lacking in Dallas. You know what I mean? I like Mike McCarthy. I like what he was doing. But, you know, throwing the ball 60 times is not a formula to win. You know what I mean?
No.
Never is it. I never understood it. And, you know what I mean? I'm cool. Hey, Brian Schottenheimer is going to come in and run the ball. I'm fine with it. I ain't going to lie. He's going to come in and run the ball and, you know what I mean, run a decent offense, run the ball with a scheme and not what I just watched. I'm fine with it, you know. I'm fine with any coach that's going to come in and just use our talent. There's a lot of talent here. Use it, you know. For me, a lot of it this year was scheme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The talent level was lacking, you could say that, but scheme. You know what I mean? Scheme overrules a lot of that. You know, the 49ers had just as many injuries that we had on offense, and I feel like a lot of games your offense didn't miss a beat. You know, the defense gave it up a lot of times. So it was just like, when you can see that, and then, you know what I mean, see what we look like with the talent level that we have is just bad, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Kelly, you got one more question before we jump to the NFC, before we figure out who's going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, you know, you had mentioned about hitting a draft class and needing to get this draft class right. What, in your opinion, is the most important position to draft in the first round? They've talked about how deep this running back position is. It's a deep running back class, but they've also talked about that a lot of people were saying they think Janty's going to be there. Can you pass on him? Do you need a guy like Janty? And I mean, after watching the playoffs, watching a guy like Saquon, watching a guy like Derrick Henry, obviously he's not in it, but the importance of the run game in the playoffs, it can't be denied. I mean, I think the value of the running back is starting to come back a little bit. What's your opinion on who we should take in the first round in terms of position?
Me, like I've been saying, I think we should take a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I like Jency. I think he can be good for us. But it's just like, is he going to be that much more productive than a guy that we can get in the second round? If we have a scheme, a plan for a guy, it don't matter who you draft at the running back position. If you have a plan, scheme, and you know what I mean, and you know how to get the guy the ball, he's going to be productive for you. That's all you need at the running back position. You don't need Saquon is great. Saquon is special. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
need that. You know what I mean? You don't need that to win. You know, a guy, you know what I mean? He's not in it no more, but Bucky Irvin, 4th round, tremendously productive this year. You know, that's all you just need, a productive back. You know what I mean? Yeah, having a phenomenal back is great. You know what I mean? And it's good. You know what I mean? It was great for us when Zeke was phenomenal, but it's just like, why not have all the options? You know, me personally, I don't see 5 day one impactful guys at the wide receiver position, but I see 5 day one impactful guys at the running back position, and that's just the way I look at it approaching the draft. You know, and I won't be opposed to Ashton Dempsey. You know, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. You know what I mean? If you take him, fine, but my biggest fear is taking Ashton Dempsey and thinking that's just going to be enough. And the Cowboys are good with that, you know. We had Zeke all those years, and they never thought about having 2 good wide receivers while the whole league was trending that way. And when we finally got it, we only had it 2 years. And
then they got rid of him.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, give me, you know what I mean? I want to see what happens with Dak when he has an embarrassment of riches, you know what I mean? Like some of these other guys have, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean, that's when you can blame Dak. You know what I mean? When Dak has a defense like he has right now, and you know what I mean, top flight offense, and you know what I mean, we can't get it done, and it's Dak's fault. Hey, it'll just be Dak's fault. But until I see that day, I never blame Dak, because I watched those games. I watched this penalties, turnovers, not even just Dak fumbles. You know what I mean? Defense not forcing any, defense not stopping the run. You know what I mean? The list goes on. You know what I mean? Yeah, Dak has his fair share of bad plays, but every quarterback does, you know?
I always said Dak has to be perfect. Like, it's just like you see some of these quarterbacks struggle, and the defense kind of carries them sometimes. And to me, it's like, you know, Dak can't be you know, no quarterback is on the money all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you need,
you know what I mean? And then you hit him with that, and the favorite thing is, well, he starts the game off bad. Well, I'd rather, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish. And if he's finishing strong and he can't get no stops, that's not on him. You know, I don't blame like Lamar. I don't blame Lamar. Turnovers happen, things happen. You can't blame Lamar for that game. He had a position to win the game. You can't blame him for that game. You know what I mean? Yeah, he had turnovers early, but the way he played in the second half made up for all of that and had his team in position to win. You know what I mean? He didn't fumble. He didn't fumble on the drive to take the lead. You know what I mean? He let him right back down the field after that. You know?
Yep.
So it's just like, there's always blame to go around. I hate that quarterbacks take all the blame. Just like I hate when they take all the credit when they win, because you know it's more than that.
They get more of the credit and they get most of the blame. But let's switch gears a little bit and talk about this NFC Championship game. Now, I had the big mistake of not believing in Washington, and about week 5, week 6, I went on a Washington radio show and I told all the fans, let's pump the brakes on buying them Super Bowl tickets. Let's calm down a little bit, because reality is going to set in real quick. Now, I did tell them Dallas would beat them, and Dallas beat them easily. But this Washington team is pesky. They're not going away. You've got a Philadelphia team that obviously they're led by Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts got a little injured last week, but I think he'll be fine. What's your thoughts on this championship preview that makes every Cowboy fan sick?
honestly, I was watching the Commanders. Like week 3, week 4. Arizona Cardinals. I watched them, and just the plays that Daniels was making in the clutch. I was watching. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's gonna be really good. If he's making those plays right now, the plays that he's gonna be making in December and January, just the development, and I saw it. I seen the way the defense was playing, and I said that they're going to be a problem. I was watching them play, and I think I tweeted for like 3 or 4 weeks straight watching them play. Like, they're going to be a problem. Like, I'm watching them, they're going to be a problem. Now, I knew that. When you play the Cowboys and you have a pass rush, that's always going to cause matchup problems. So when you have a good quarterback, that doesn't really scare me. They don't have the weapons to really beat us. And they don't have the defense to really stop Dak. So they're not a team that really scares me right now, but they're definitely a team that you definitely can't sleep on. And it's just another team in the division that we just have to go out and play every week. But yeah, watching them reach the NFC Championship game is kind of crazy. But he's good. Their team's good. They got a good coaching staff, and I think that goes over a lot of people's heads. The coaching staff.
Yeah, you think they got a shot to beat Philly and Philly?
Yes.
Seeing
obviously
Washington in the Super Bowl would absolutely just I don't know what would happen to the Cowboys fans.
one thing about football, man, you gotta play the game. I never count them out.
Yeah,
I never count a team out. It's any given Sunday, who shows up. Any type of key injury, things like that change the game. So I never count the Redskins out. They beat them already. Granted, it was a crazy comeback win, but I feel like that's really like what gave them confidence and propelled their season. I feel like that game is really gave them that shot in the arm, like, hey man, we can do this. Like, yeah. And I feel like, yeah, man, you can't count them out. As long as they playing as a team and don't turn the ball over, that's gonna be key. Not turn the ball over.
No,
they turn the ball over against Detroit. They can't do that against Philly. The way that they run the ball, they can't do that.
Yeah. What do you think, Kelly? You got this Washington Eagle matchup for whether someone from the NFC East is going to represent it. My thought, I'm split. Part of me wants, because I don't think the NFC could beat the AFC, and we'll get TP's opinion when we get to the AFC, but part of me wants Philly to go in and lose. That way they're 1-4 in Super Bowls, and that would just give me some more fun stuff. But I'm digging this Washington story, man. And Jaden Daniels, he's having a phenomenal rookie year. So part of me is like, man, I'd love to see this Washington team, this young team, this team that, no one predicted get to the Super Bowl. What's your thoughts, Kelly?
You obviously know how I feel about the Philadelphia Eagles and their fan base. So there ain't not one part of me that ever wants to see Philadelphia win or be happy about nothing. So of course I'm going for Washington, but at the same time, I'm kind of right on board with you, man. Look, Washington was a rival, and it still is a rival. I would never root for them to win the Super Bowl, but you watch Jaden Daniels and the success that he's had this year, and it's an amazing story. I don't think I haven't looked it up to see, but to my knowledge, I don't think a rookie QB has ever made the Super Bowl as a rookie. I don't think there's ever even been one to play in the Super Bowl. So the fact that he's here and with the chance to do that is pretty damn impressive, man. He's taken that team and elevated that entire franchise just in year one. So it's very impressive to see what he's doing. And 2 weeks ago, I would have said they got no chance against Philly. I thought Philly looked like one of the better teams in the NFC. It looked like they were kind of going to roll over it if Detroit didn't win it. I thought Philly was the second one. Now I'm looking at that thinking that Washington got a fighter's chance in this thing after watching what they did with Detroit. I really do think that.
Yeah, I was going to come down and stop it and run, or at least limiting it. You gotta force Hurts to pass the ball and not let him hit those checkdowns.
Yeah,
hit those checkdowns.
He loves the checkdowns.
Yeah,
So,
man.
I mean, he loves that stuff, and I love AJ Brown reading his
Hey,
book.
I can't. Hey, man, when you got the weapons, the guys that can get the yards after the catch. Hey, man, why not?
No, I get it.
You know what I mean? And hey, when you got a team, man, they got a team around them, man. You got a team that just makes you look good, man.
That's what I hate about Philly, because I got to give them credit. Their general manager and their ownership, man, they commit. They're active in free agency. They will make the moves in the draft. They will do trades in the middle of the season. I am jealous of that with the Eagles, but I can't really, I can't appreciate it too much, because then I look like I'm being nice to them, and we can't allow that in this channel. But looking at the AFC, you've got the rematch. I mean, this is prime time. Mahomes, Allen. Allen seems to have Mahomes' number in the regular season, but Mahomes owns Allen in the playoffs when it matters most. Could we be seeing the first three-peat in the NFL? What's your thoughts on this game, or do you think Allen and the Bills can finally get over the hump?
My thoughts is, if you don't want the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, you want Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's simple. The Chiefs are going to stop the run. The Chiefs are not going to let all those yards after the catch, all that. They're not going to let that fly. So if you want to not see the Philly win the Super Bowl, you want the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Josh Allen, that Bills team is good, but they don't have enough. They're good. They don't have enough. The Chiefs probably have the best defense in the NFL outside the Eagles right now. So yeah, I want Patrick Mahomes doing it. I don't really want to see a three-peat, but I'd rather him than anybody else. So.
Yeah, no, I'm pulling for Mahomes again. I love history. I love things that can happen, and we haven't seen it, so I think it'd be cool. Mahomes just seems like a pretty.
And that's
pretty
the thing, I mean, I'm not talking about Patrick Mahomes. I'm talking about their defense. Defense. I mean that's what wins championships.
No, I'm with you, man.
I mean, this is for the choir. You know what I mean? That's for the choir. Like, defense wins championships. And
what you think?
I agree, man. I think the Chiefs has been of it. Yeah. Now, I think the Chiefs have had that's one of their recipes to success. I mean, earlier, TP, when you was talking about how people will put the blame. It always seems to go on the quarterback, but there's other variables that go into it. I don't know how many times I talked about last year's Super Bowl when the Chiefs started at the Super Bowl. Literally, Patrick Mahomes had 2 turnovers before the half. They scored all of 3 points. I think they kicked the field goal right before halftime. Like, they weren't doing nothing that first, but
Patrick Mahomes didn't score by the half. They were down 10-0, and then he come out in the third quarter and turn the ball over again.
Exactly. And still won the game because their defense kept them in it. And then when it came time to make the crucial plays, Patrick Mahomes made those plays. And and I talk to people that because everybody, I know a lot of people. I mean, there are quite a few sensible Cowboys fans that will admit that the defense did not do their job against Green Bay. But I said, look, I get Dak came off to that slow start and he had them early turnovers, but then when Dak did get it going, the defense could not get a stop. They could not stop anybody. I said, so how is he supposed to catch up and make points? It's no different than in basketball when you're down big. You need your defense to make some stops so your offense can score. I mean, it's the same way in every sport. If your defense ain't getting stops, it don't matter if your offense scores 40 points.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We can't trade buckets. Somebody got to get a stop.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's kind of what we were doing in that game. So I think you're right. I think that the Chiefs are the best chance if the Eagles advance the Super Bowl to stop them, just because the Chiefs do have that great defense, solid defense. They're definitely going to make Hurts throw it. And I've been saying all year long, I said, look, when it comes down to it and they need Hurts to throw, that's when they're going to find out. And I don't trust him doing it. And I know he had that one Super Bowl that he played really well against the Chiefs, but when it came down to it, I mean, he couldn't do it. So I'm just saying they're going to be more of the same, man. But I'm riding with Mahomes. I'm a Texas Tech guy anyway, so I mean Mahomes is kind of I don't mind seeing him win this thing. So if he three-peat, I'm all for it, man. Go ahead and rep them Red Raiders, baby.
we watched Chris Jones single-handedly wreck the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? When you got guys like
Yeah.
that, I'm rocking with them. You know.
Yeah. No. But hey, do you get to a lot of the Cowboy games at AT&T, or you okay? Well, I don't know if you know. Maybe if you don't know, you better ask somebody. But we have our Cowboys Cave annual tailgate party. It gets bigger and bigger as the year goes on. It's a spectacle, and I expect the invitation is there. I want to see you there next year, hanging out with the Cowboys Cave and having a good time at the tailgate before we whoop somebody's ass, because it's going to be a better year.
I'll definitely pull up. What lot y'all be in?
We're always in lot 10. And because Jerry does not like tailgating, we have to get out there at about midnight to secure the spot that we want. So we sit out there all night. You don't have to do that. We're going to have it set up for you. You just need to show up with and hang out with the crew. We have a great time. We got tailgate of the game. We had Rowdy was coming by. We had all these people. Former Cowboy came by, so we have a lot of fun with it. We got our man DJ, right? Is Mooney coming? He's bringing the mayor. He's bringing everything, and he's going to be cutting it up, and it's going to be a good time. So hopefully we'll let you know, and you got to check it out for sure.
Oh, yeah. Sure, I'll definitely pop up.
Yeah, and we got cuts in the pit. But before we wrap it up, what because you got Cowboys Nation, on the edge, right? We talked about it. Give us any sign of hope. I mean, I try and do it all the time with my hype videos, and I'll say I owe your brother a lot because his rookie year before the first game, he retweeted my video and it ended up on the news and it got a bunch of views. You tell Micah, much appreciated. Mike Tag may not be here without him, but what could you do? Like this Cowboy, what do we need to see happen to get back in the swing? Just check the boxes. Give me 3 checks. What do you think are the 3 checks that we got to make?
A head coach willing to do what's necessary.
Outside the box coach, you'd say? Like not a Jerry guy, like outside the organization.
It can even be a Jerry guy.
Okay.
As long as you know their results are the only thing that matters. Coach your way. Don't let any other outside influences you to do anything other else than what you know to do. That's going to get us the win. I feel like there was a lot of that got paid. He needs to prove his worth. Pass the ball. And that's just not the recipe for winning. And I'm glad that the NFL got back to really running the ball. Because they see it. These edge rushers are coming in 6'5", 270, running 4.4s. You know. So, the recipe for success passing the ball every play is not likely anymore, People are amping up pressure, Defenses are getting better, defenses are getting faster. So it's just, running the ball is the perfect balance to help you and your quarterback. Just a coach that's willing to come in and do what's necessary to, win the game and coach his way and coach to the strengths of the team. And use our talent the way they need to be used, offensively and defensively. And, just create that cohesion, I forget who said it the best. I forget who I was. Was it? I don't think it was Aikman. No, Jason Garrett. Yeah, it was Jason Garrett. The perfect
Jason Garrett said something. Oh, my God.
Yeah, Jason Garrett. He was just basically talking about, the type of coach that's needed to, flourish in Dallas. And, he should be the perfect one to say something. Yeah. So, I was watching that, and, he definitely brought up a lot of good points, a guy that, that can have that give and pull with ownership, kind of get what he wants, being able to, vocally, get these guys to do what he wants, And if we get a guy like that, and I feel like Prime is the guy like that, that can get Jerry and Steven to do things that they don't want to do. You know what I mean? But my thing is, they're not going to want to pay that. You know what I mean? They don't want to pay for extra coaching staff for the weight room. You think they want to pay a buyout and then pay prime? That's the only thing that makes it unrealistic for me. Just knowing how cheap they're trying to be.
It amazes me because there's no cap on coaches. You'd think
spend as much money as you want.
Coaches
I think the biggest problem, and I'm really starting to see it. I forget. I seen a tweet. Who had said it, but they really put me on something. They were like, basically, they were just like, you know what I mean? You see these owners, they're owners because football is their hobby. They love it. They're putting all their cash into it. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are using the Cowboys as their main business venture, their main source of income. And that's the difference, you know? And that's what's keeping them from doing the things that they need to do to win, you know? And it's sad, you know, because if you really want to win, it's fuck the money. We're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know what I mean? They're so focused on their other business ventures and their cash flow that they're not willing to do things that's necessary. And I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, and I actually, it's funny. I know what you're talking about because I've seen that same thing on Twitter, and it actually, Mike, this surprised the shit out of me. So it showed the richest owners, the richest sports owners, and the richest. Jerry Jones and them, he ain't even in the top 10. They got the most valuable sports franchise in the whole world, but when it comes to owners and their value, they weren't even in the top 10 of owners. So I agree with what you're saying there because it's like the Cowboys. That's like their main source. That's their main source of income, and they still ain't. They ain't even cracked the top 10 in terms of most valuable in terms of the how much money they got. It's all invested in this Dallas Cowboys team, and it's almost like it's almost getting to the point where I know it's never going to happen, and it's just a pipe dream to say it. But you almost just get to the point where it's like, God, I wish Jerry would just be like, you know what? This is a lot. This is too much of a headache. It's causing too much. I'm gonna sell the team. I know I'd never do it. But damn, I mean, sell the team to an ownership group that's willing to come in there and make the Cowboys actually respect that franchise, man.
Yeah, like it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand it. I don't either. Then you see him throwing cash at fucking Arkansas. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you see him throwing cash at Arkansas, but you won't pay coaches.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not because I'm not a believer on everything I see on Twitter, but if it is, someone tweeted that he donated $200 million to political parties. I mean, if you're doing that, if that's true, I'd be. I mean, I know there's some tax things, and they do the old tax thing that help each other out. But that is
to God, that's not true.
If that's what he's doing, that's some bullshit. And you're paying a coach $4 million when these other coaches are getting $18 million and $15 million and stuff like that. That's why your brother said something he better never ever say again. Discount. None of that. I mean, I am so against any player hometown discount. Let me help you out. These owners, they don't give two.
They don't give
man.
Get what you can get.
As soon as that production drops, you're looking to get rid of you.
Yeah.
There's no loyalty there. There's no loyalty. Only about that money.
Kelly, you've seen it. All these teams have proven you could spend the money. Look what Philly did. Look what the Chiefs have done. Look what all these other teams have done. They've signed their guys, signed more guys, get free. Look what the Rams did with the draft picks. All the you can
manipulate salary cap lives, man. We got $30 million in cap right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it.
Yeah. Real quick super chat. JJ believes he can find cheap coaches and players that buy into the hype, elevate their skill set. He believes they can turn a lump of coal into gold. But
yeah. No, I mean, not even a lump of coal into gold, because like he knows. The thing is, when you got other teams going above and beyond, and we're just barely making it, you're putting so much stress on your star players to perform, and it's not fair to them. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. To get to win the playoffs. The way we need our best players to play their best game of football 3-4 games in a row. That's just not unrealistic. That's just so unrealistic. And that's just what it comes down to. You know what I mean? And that's why you have the fan base blaming the players. How are you blaming the players when, you know what I mean, they can only do so much, you know what I mean? They need the proper coaching. They need the proper help, you know what I mean? You don't see these other teams, Chiefs, they spared no expense.
No.
You know what
No.
I mean? Philly spared no expense.
And
Yep.
They making sure they have the things that they need.
and they're in the championship game. So I mean, that's why as much as I hate the Eagles and stuff, I mean, you gotta appreciate their GM that's doing something. Kelly, I'll give you the last question for TP before we let him get to his business. The doors are banging. You scared some of our audience. Whoever's banging on that door before you tell them, they scared the shit out of most of our people on here. They thought something was happening to one of us.
Yeah. My son's getting big.
Kelly, what's up?
It had me looking over my shoulder for a second. I was like, what the hell? No, yeah, man. All right. I guess, my last question would be this. The Cowboys obviously disappointing off season. Just with everything taken into fact, Jerry Jones and all the stuff, kind of the way he's operating. What are the chances? Obviously, this is very early. We still got to see what happens with the draft. We still got to see what happens with the free agency. But what are the chances are that you see this team being able to, with the new head coach, new system? What are the chances of this team that you think that they would be able to just advance past the divisional round in 2025? Just not do a Super Bowl, not just past the divisional round. That's it.
If we had kept Mike McCarthy and Zimmer, I could see it happening in 2025.
Yeah.
You got to hit the reset button. You know what I mean? So I don't see that. It's just so much. I mean, it's just so much. You know what I mean? It all depends. Is he bringing in a whole new scheme, or is he bringing in something that's somewhat familiar? If it's a brand new scheme, then who knows?
Right.
Same thing defensively. You know what I mean? They just got accustomed to the new scheme. Week 8, week 9? So, you know what I mean? If we throw a whole new scheme at them, it's going to be the same type thing. You know what I mean? We're going to be looking at blowouts and can't stop nobody for the first, 2 months of the season. You know what I mean? Nobody want to sit there again. You know what I mean? Obviously, injuries were a big part of that, but it's just like, even when we were somewhat healthy, we still had the Ravens, the Saints, those games still happen.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's why I really wanted to run it back, man.
I'm with you. I wish it would have kept everything the same, because I think a lot of the injuries had a lot to do with it, and you saw.
Yeah.
And the players seemed like they played for McCarthy. Like, I think the players respected him. I think they played hard for him. I mean, with all the injuries, how they won 7 games is beyond me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't win 7, 8 games after starting like that with the injuries that we had, with guys not bought in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man.
It was a calculated mistake by Jerry Jones.
Yeah. Because Super Bowl winning coach, regardless of the fact, Dak and CD looked great 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. That's just things you need to build on. You know what I mean? You selfishly fucked all that up when you decided to not pay CD all camp, and thank God Dak's not that type,
Yeah.
So it's a lot of things that, like, he could do differently, but it really does all fall down on the coach and how he's going to coach, and if he's going to coach his way and use the talent the way they need to be used.
Yeah, no. I agree 100%, and we're getting up to the hour, so I don't want to take all your time, but we loved having you on. We definitely going to have to do it again as we get closer to the season and stuff. Love all the stuff you're doing. Tell everybody one more time. You're a busy man with the podcast. You got some great stuff coming up, and you've been doing great things. Tell everybody one more time where they can find you.
Unwanted Opinion, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You can find me, T Parse Boy, _ between T Parse and Boy, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, man. I'm excited to bring a lot of new content. We're supposed to be interviewing some guys, Anthony Hitchens, Dad said he'll come on. We'll see if he's still
Well,
cool with
are
that.
they
I
going
want
to
to get
clear
the
the
dads
air?
on.
Him and Micah, are they good? They're good?
Honestly, like they're both right. You know,
Yeah.
they're both right. You know what I mean? One time, a couple weeks ago, me and Dez, we sat in the party till 5 a.m. in the Xbox party one night talking about it. Like, you know what I mean? There's only so much that you can do as a player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Only so much you can do as a coach. That's why I say like everything has to be aligned. You know what I mean? You need a coach that can align everything. You know what I mean? You got to be that nexus. That's why, you know what I mean? The good head coach is very much important, you know what I mean? And he needs to know how to fill out his coaching staff, you know. Mike McCarthy, yeah, you're a good coach. Your coaching staff, shit. You know what I mean? Besides Mike Zimmer, Al Harris, your coaching staff is shit. I mean, I like the D-line coach too. I like the D-line coach. But offensive line coach, shit. Running backs coach, shit. You can even say the receivers coach at this point, shit.
Yeah.
Linebackers coach, he was all right. But like,
Do you think McCarthy picks his staff, or do you think Jerry's and Steven are?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of both. And you know what I mean? It still comes down to, you know what I mean? Jerry got to want to pay guys. You know what I mean? If the players are talking about there's not enough staff in the training room, that's crazy.
That's insane.
Like, you know what I mean? That's crazy. You can't talk about winning if you don't even want to pay your staff, man. Like the people that expect to work for you and, you know what I mean, coach for their job and be happy coaching. You know what I mean? You should want to make sure they're happily paid and, you know what I mean, living comfortable. You know what I mean? Not having to worry about things. But
yeah, no, I agree 100%. We're going to do Anthony Hitchens, great linebacker for the Cowboys. They let him get away, went to Kansas City, and obviously got the Super Bowl. He was another Cowboy that they let slip away.
Man.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites. During his era. And I was happy for him that at least he went to a team and got a title out of it. So definitely appreciate it, TP, man. We got to do it again. Appreciate your time, man. And we'll be talking to you soon. Take care.
Yep. Anytime, man.
Appreciate it, TP.
Bye. That was awesome. Man. Let me fix this, Kelly, because I did it. There we go. Are we back? That was that bad. We could have probably talked for hours, but that knocking scared the shit out of me. I'm going to be honest. At first, I thought it was my door, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Maybe I was being a little loud, and maybe the people are trying to sleep. And then I thought it was yours because he didn't respond. Like, he didn't even flinch.
Yeah. It made me look. I thought somebody was not. I thought maybe somebody was pounding on my garage for me.
I said, is there a guy at a bar that wanted a rematch? He thought maybe he could. He wanted...
Oh man, that was good shit.
Yeah, but hey, man, we got over 500 of you guys. I didn't get a chance to say it enough. Thank you for checking it out. Hit that like, hit the subscribe. It's so important. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps support the channel and these channels. Look at, man, you got me in a hotel room. You got Kelly. He's working through technical difficulties. He comes back on. He's getting I mean, we're working hard for you guys to try and bring you some great content. We have some other great guests are going to be coming up, and we're just going to get a plethora of these guys, and we're going to have even the biggest Cowboys Cave tailgate party. Hopefully Jerry gives us something to get excited about. But asking you, Kelly, I mean, you listen to what TP said, and continuity, maybe that's not the worst thing. Schottenheimer's not going to make you jump out and start doing some hype videos, but how do you feel about it? Does the coaches matter at that point? Is it like, I got to see who the DC is, I got to see who these coaches are before you get anything, or are you just kind of bummed out? I mean,
obviously, I think if you bring in a solid offensive coordinator and a solid defensive coordinator, I think that can change some of the perspective in terms of how we feel about Schottenheimer if he's the one that gets hired. I continue to just feel disappointed and just disheartening, man, at the way Jerry Jones is doing this. You don't even request to interview. Glenn or Ben Johnson, two of the hotter names out there. I mean, right now, all the guys that you have requested to interview or that you have interviewed are really people that nobody's wanting as their head coach. I mean, Saleh, we gave him a head coaching interview. I mean, the only team that's really want him is the Niners. They want him back. They said they'd make him the highest paid defensive coordinator. But I mean, there's nobody else that's really knocking down his door for a head
he's
coach.
going to Jacksonville for an interview. Just you got and I know this Tampa Bay's offensive coordinator turned down Jacksonville, and he's staying with Tampa. And oh, by the way, Tampa's making him one of the highest paid assistant coaches. It's funny how you do that when you pay guys, top dollar. You can
keep some of your top dollar guys. Yeah,
keep the continuity. And that's the part where it's just very frustrating as a Cowboys fan, because it's like you said, at worst, do your due diligence and bring in the best, because maybe when you interview, sometimes you learn something from the person that you're interviewing. Maybe it's like, man, a light comes off saying, this is a guy that we got to get. And for not even doing your due diligence as a team to bring in the best guys. And nothing against Leslie Frazier. My son asked, who the hell is he? Great defensive mind, but he's not good. They're not hiring him to be the head coach. I mean, let's be real. I mean, it's checking the boxes and say, all right, well, we're bringing guys in, but they're not bringing anyone in of any substance of hot commodities like Aaron Glenn, who's just went with the Jets, and obviously Ben Johnson going to Chicago.
Well, I mean, you just look at Schottenheimer's resume, and nothing that he has done, even as an offensive coordinator, nothing that he has done has jumped out to you and said elite. And which is why, I know they requested an interview with Cliff Kingsbury, and I've went on record saying I don't really like him as a head coach, but I mean, shit, at least he's gotten, at least he's known for being a good offensive play caller. You could look back to what he's done this year with the Commanders. I still think Kingsbury is probably another year, if not maybe 2 years off from being ready to take another head coaching position. I don't think he's had enough time away from that debacle in Arizona to be a head coach at this point right now. But I mean, you look at him, and at least he's got some of the accolades that you're looking
outside
for.
The box.
Yeah, whereas in a guy like Schottenheimer, I mean, his offenses, and they just really haven't been that great. They've been mediocre. I mean, they've been border. I think somebody posted something, said he has not been a part of a top 10 offense his entire career of being involved in different offenses. So I just don't know that he inspires much confidence. Kellen Moore, obviously, not much better. I mean, it's just discouraging, man, because none of the names that I've wanted, that they've went after or talked to or requested interviews with. Now, I will say this. I saw something today, and I forgot who posted it, but I saw something today, and I don't remember. I believe it was from an actual sports reporter or maybe an analyst that was on Twitter, and they speculated, and if this happened,
I wonder if you're thinking my line. Go ahead. I'm gonna.
What was it? Was it about Dion?
Yeah, that was
and hiring him Super Bowl weekend.
That was your girl Joy Taylor. That's her. Her. That is her theory. Maybe she knows something we don't know. That they're just going through a facade, and they're gonna announce Dion as a coach during Super Bowl week.
Maybe. I know that she has slept with many. Knows many men. She knows many men around there. So maybe she's gotten some. What would you call that? Undercover information, as you might say. I don't know, man. I just thought it was interesting when I saw that, because look, I'll say this at first, when I first heard the news about Dion, I'm like, no, absolutely not. But the more I've had time to marinate on it, right? The more I've had time to think about it, I just think Dion's a very strong-willed personality, right? And I think that I think he'd be a guy that would not let Jerry push him around.
No.
I don't think he's a guy that's going to take that shit. I think he's a guy that would step in the building and tell Jerry, listen, you brought me in here to do a job. Let me do my fucking job. This is who I want as an offensive guy. I don't want you bringing Jason Witten in here. I don't give a shit. You want Jason Witten to be your next head coach, you wait till you fire me. You're not bringing him in here to be some coach in waiting. I'm not here to have a coach that I got to have training wheels on. All he's done is coach in high school football. He may have NFL acumen as a former player. I don't want, I just feel like Deion would come in with a no-nonsense attitude. I also believe that he's got the skins on the wall as a former player that these guys, even grown men in the NFL, would respect him. Because I've had people that say, all that rah-rah, almost like a Baptist gospel preacher type, sermons that Deion be doing. I said that won't work in today's NFL. But I look at it and I say, well, how do we know that it wouldn't work in today's NFL? Because, listen, I feel like that Dan Campbell kind of has a lot of Deion in him in terms of the way that he talks to his players and the way some of those motivational speeches to get you to run through a brick wall, but also to have that accountability, no-nonsense guy going to hold you. Like, I feel like that Dan Campbell's got a lot of that in him, and it's working pretty goddamn well for Detroit. Obviously, they didn't get the job done this year, but they've been a team that culture has been turning in Detroit. They've been known as the fucking losers for as long as I can remember. And now I sit there and look at it and I think maybe a guy like Deion would be a guy that could come in and shake up the culture. But then I think about it like this. I don't think Jerry wants to be challenged like that. I don't.
Well,
and I think that's why Schottenheimer is getting a second interview, because Jerry knows that is the perfect puppet right there. Schottenheimer.
Why the hell do you need a second interview? The guy's been on your staff for 2 years. It drives me nuts. But
I don't.
It was brought up and talked about. You and I actually talked about it as well. Maybe people are stealing our stuff. But the one time you had where Jerry had to concede was Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells ran the show. He ran the press conferences. They went to him for the answers. Jerry was sent off. He wasn't the relevant one, and Deion would do the same. And Jerry didn't like it, and that's where I'm saying.
And I don't think you would like it.
It would be a short-lived honeymoon if Deion came, but I think Deion can give enough shot in the arm, because I agree with what TP said, and there's talent on this team. I mean, this team is not a rebuild. Gotta go. It's going to take 5 years. Those days are over in professional football anyway. Rosters turn over 25-30% a year. So those rebuilding 5-year things, I mean, Washington's proven that. Teams before them have proven that. So those days are long gone. The Detroit Lions kind of miffed that. So the Cowboys are just good draft, smart, strategic free agent moves. They're right back in it. Because like I said, they won 7 games with this roster that was depleted. Give me a break. But they need someone that can motivate and shot in the arm. That's why I said John Gruden. That's my other wild card. That would be a guy. He knows offense. He works really well with veteran quarterbacks. You saw what he did with Gannon when he was in Oakland. I think he's a guy that would be an outside the box guy that I think could bring this team needs some life, man. They need some juice. You're right. I mean, we've had the CEO coaches. Let's get a guy in there that's going to demand some accountability and demand the best out of these guys. That's what I want. I'm with you. So
yeah, no, I agree 1,000%. We need something right now. Cowboys are grasping at straws. Cowboys fans are grasping at straws, and unfortunately, all Jerry's given us is toothpicks, and I don't know, man. I don't know. It's been just more discouraging than I've in a long time, man. I don't remember. I mean, honestly, this is the most discouraged I've been as a Cowboys fan ever. 100%. Honestly, I'm not even lying. I know we've had those days, but where we had the Dave Campos, those 5-11s and all that, we'll point back to that. We'll point back to cycling through all those quarterbacks. But when we were doing that, I already knew. I knew, like, look, we're not there. We don't have the quarterback. After Troy Aikman left, we were in that dark period of times looking for a quarterback. And you look at teams like Cleveland Browns that have shuffled through like 28 something quarterbacks and just can't figure it out, can't get the right guy. But once you get the guy, you know, it puts you in the mix. It puts you in those more competitive teams. We had the Tony Romo. We got very lucky following it up with a guy like Dak Prescott, that we're not back in those dark era days just yet. We were having to scrounge for a quarterback. We don't know if that guy is it. You know what I mean? You look at a lot of those teams that are just kind of on that precipice where it's like, you know, they've got some talent, but it's that quarterback position that's holding them back, because that's the most important position on the field. And it's just like this, you know, last 365 days, this last whole cycle of Cowboys football has got me more depressed and more discouraged than I have ever been as a Cowboys fan. And part of the reason is because I see no light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I see that we got the talent on the team, but I don't see Jerry's commitment. I don't believe him. He says that you wouldn't believe the check that I would write to win another Super Bowl, but yet he's going bottom of the barrel. He's at the $5 DVD section at Walmart looking for a fucking blockbuster that just came out and is still in the movie. Like, no, what are you doing, Jerry? What are you doing? We don't want fried green tomatoes. We want Deadpool 4. What are you doing, man? What the shit are you doing? Like, I don't know what the hell this man is doing, and it's just discouraging as hell as a fan, because you wonder, where's the light? Where's the light at the end of the tunnel? We're all looking for it, and I just don't see it right now, man. I don't. And I'm praying with this coaching thing that something changes, but it's just discouraging to hear that a guy like Schottenheimer now is getting his second interview, and I'm preparing myself that he's going to be the next head coach.
Yeah, I think they're setting up for it. I wanted to get that super chat from Mark. I didn't want to miss you, man. You know, the politically correct NFL coaches can't believe a slew of coaches don't just say JJ interferes and won't let us get the players we need. And that, I mean, I would say it is kind of surprising any former coaches haven't really come out and kind of said much about Jerry. He's like a mob boss, so I don't know. I don't know if you want to get in Jerry.
Blackball you from the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm not messing with. That's why I'm always careful. I let Kelly do the Jerry, or there you are, Kelly. I let Kelly do the Jerry. I let Kelly do it because I'm not. That might have been Jerry. Maybe knocking on your door about all the impersonations you've been doing. Now he's time to pay the piper. We don't want any of that stuff. But.
Hey, listen. Let me ask you this. I know this is not going to happen, but I was just thinking about this. So if Mike McCarthy doesn't get a head coaching job, can Jerry just go ahead and circle back and say, you know what, Mike, listen, I done fucked up, man. I understand. I know I done fucked up. Listen, we want you back. You want 5 years, we'll give you 5. What I don't understand about that whole process, though, is if Jerry really wanted him back and was trying to work on a contract, and what your whole disagreement was the length of years. What's the difference between 3 years and 5 years? You could still fire him after 3 if you didn't want him. And maybe you're going to owe him a little bit of money after that if you sign him to 5 and you fire him early. When has Jerry waited until a contract? I mean, Jerry's fired guys before, let guys go before their contract is up. This wouldn't be the first time he's had to fire a head coach before the contract is up. What are you scared about, Jerry? Like, if you really wanted Mike McCarthy, if you really wanted him, Get fucking Mike McCarthy and give him 5 years. You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing is, a lot of people are asking for Jerry to please come to the show. But I'll ask you this, and then if you want to answer Jerry. But Jane said it. The problem was, from what she said, it was the length of contract that they tried to shorten, and then bring in Witten on and saying he's your heir apparent. And I think that's when McCarthy's kind of like, yeah, I think I'm done with it. That's what it seemed like. Now, I don't know if you want to give what Jerry feels. A lot of people, they're asking for you. They love you with the Jerry. So I don't know if Jerry's around, but what's his thoughts?
Well, now, if I can't get a guy to get on board the Jerry train, we're just going to leave him at the station. All right. Because this train is rolling one way or another, and the conductor is no other than myself. Now, listen, I didn't go looking for glory hole to come out of here and not find what I was looking for. Now, a guy like Schottenheimer, he's on board. Now, if I tell him that I want Jason Witten, hell, if I tell him I want Charlotte, to be the goddamn offensive coordinator. That's what's going to happen. And that little stool pigeon is going to do exactly what the hell I want. Because listen, at the end of the day, I'm not really looking for a head coach. I'm looking for a marionette that I can just dangle the strings from. And I mean, hell, I don't know why I haven't named myself the head coach of this Dallas Cowboys franchise. I mean, hell, I know everything about football. I'm the greatest GM to ever do this thing. And it's just, it's ultimately, it's semantics. I don't want to make these other owners jealous by going out there and winning 10 consecutive Super Bowls. That just wouldn't be fair. And I'm all about fairness when it comes to this league. And I respect the league and I respect its hierarchy.
Let me ask you this though. In all seriousness, Kelly, we've been fans, before Jerry and kind of around that time. Are you surprised that he hasn't announced himself as a head coach at some point? I mean, would you be shocked if he did it?
No. I really wouldn't at this point, man. I really wouldn't at this point. No, I mean, his ego is so big, man. It's so big, and it's ridiculous that he says the things that he says about being one of the best. I mean, he literally says that he literally said it at the beginning of the season that nobody can do the job that he does. No other GM can do what he does, but yet I could point to a dozen right now that are doing a way better job than you, Jerry. So I don't know exactly what you're looking at, what you've been paying attention to, but it's not been what you think it's been, Jerry. It's not been what you think it's been.
No, and he recycles the coaches, players, and hope for the best. I mean, he does it. I mean, I can't argue with that, Mark. And that he's looking for familiarity. Thanks for the super chat. He's looking for he likes to be comfortable. But it was said, and I think he said it in an interview years ago, or maybe one that long ago. He bought the Dallas Cowboys as his family business, and he bought it to be a part of it. He bought, and he is so sucked into that to where you get these other teams, like you said, these other owners. They've got their other things. This is kind of like they show up in the owner's box and if they end up on TV, great, but they're not looking for the limelight. You see them when they're hoisting the Lombardi or a championship trophy or something like that. That's all they care about. They don't want, and that's the downside to us having a family business running this team, is especially as involved as these guys are. I mean, there's a Jones at every level of every organization. Obviously, Charlotte's I think she's over the cheerleaders. Is Charlotte over the cheerleaders? And you've got,
I believe so, yeah.
Jerry Jr. is doing all the marketing stuff, and you got Stephen Jones as the executive vice president, I believe, and then you got Jerry's the president, and you're going to have the grandsons involved. It just don't work. I mean, the problem is with family, when push comes to shove, you're going to fall in line, and you need to have some buffers. You need to have someone say, "Hey, look, dude, you're an idiot." Just like when the Giants owner said, if I see him as an Eagle running back, I'm going to be losing sleep. Are you sure he's not going to the Eagles? And then the GM says, no, man, he's going to the Bears. Bears are trying to run up the market or whatever. He's not going. Eagles aren't going to pay that much. That's all I want the owner to do. And then you never hear from him again, because Jerry probably would have fired them, probably should have, but I can't believe those guys still have a job. But you just want an owner just out of the picture, man. Let the coaches do what they got to do. That's why I want an outside the box guy. Because if you bring in Schottenheimer, it's status quo. If you bring in Kellen Moore, it's all going to be status quo. You got to give me hope. All we have is hope, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all we got. So
yeah, well, I it's funny because I was laughing pretty hard the other day at a video that Jay Tuck posted, and it was the old Suge Knight video, and it was but it was he had the owner's head of. Who was the GM? I think maybe it was the Eagles GM, maybe, or so. It was another GM beside Jerry, and he goes, anybody that wants to come over to a real record company where the producer ain't all up in the videos, dancing and singing. You remember when Suge Knight got up on stage and made that whole deal about P. Diddy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Making that dig at P. Diddy, come on to death row. Like, that's where you're gonna get your freedom at, And that's kind of what Jerry is right now. He's the dude that's dancing in the videos, all up in the videos. Like, Jerry's got his own goddamn radio show and all this other bullshit. You hear from this guy. Look, Jerry, I mean, somebody just needs to tell Jerry, look, we don't want to fucking hear from you anymore, man. We're done. We done listening to you, man. I can't listen to you talk anymore, Jerry. Just shut the hell up. Just shut the hell up. Let somebody else take the thing over.
He's thin-skinned and he can't take criticism. And that's where, our guy, he said he's never seen Jerry just so like digging his heels in, stubborn.
Big time.
That's what he's become, just a stubborn, I hate to say it, some stubborn old man. And that is just, he is, if you tell him it's sunny outside by day, he is going to tell you it's raining, and he's going to go through hell or high water to prove you wrong that it's raining out. I mean, that's what he's become. Everyone's saying you need to get this guy. Nope, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to just continue with my guys, and I'm going to prove you guys wrong. And we pay the price as a fan base, because it's like I tell you, man, we're fans of the team. We're not fans of the owners. We're fans of the Cowboys, the star, the players, the people that are putting it on the line every Sunday. That's what we're fans of. So it's hard for us to sit there. People say, "Oh, just give up your team." Man, you just can't do that. But I think they're going to lose a generation. They're going to lose a generation of fans.
They are, man. They are. You got to keep building. And right now, man, what makes any kid gravitate to the Dallas Cowboys at this point? There's nothing. There's nothing.
Tough life.
Nothing. Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time keeping my boys roped in. I mean, honestly, they really don't watch a lot of football. And I mean, they did a little bit when they were younger, and because we'd be in the playoffs, there'd be some exciting moments. But dude, my kids have watched me, and they've watched me in those painful moments of the Cowboys losing, and it's gotten to the point, man, where my kids right now, they're just kind of like, they pay attention. They root for the Cowboys. My son's in high school, and he talks smack to people that are, he talks smack when one of his friends, when their teams lose, because he says they always talk about the Cowboys and everything. So I mean, they're Cowboys fans, and I get it. When I was in high school, I wasn't a guy that was watching every single game. I couldn't at that time because they didn't have it set like now. You had to watch whatever game was on national TV was the one that you saw, and that was what you were stuck with in your region. But it's sad, man, because I remember, by the time I was both of their ages, I was already I was a diehard Cowboys fan, and that was my team. And anytime I got a chance to watch them, I watch them. But now they're just kind of like, did they win today, Dad? Or, I saw the Cowboys lost. You know what I mean? They're just kind of like, saw the Cowboys lost today. You know what I mean? And it's just discouraging, man, because they give them nothing to cheer for. And they're, going to lose a whole generation of Cowboys fans because Jerry Jones' stubbornness. And the only thing that I can hope is that when he eventually does croak and kick the bucket, that maybe that family sits down and says, look, is this really worth the headache? I mean, I know that this is what, Steven, I know this is what Daddy wanted. I know that's what Daddy wanted, but, maybe it's time we take a step back, and fucking sell the team, man. That's the only thing I'm hoping that they do, is that when Jerry dies, that they decide, they get together and say, listen, we did this long enough. We got enough money now. We can sell this where none of us ever have to work again. None of us. Because if they sell that Cowboys franchise, they're going to sell it for a lot, billions.
No one in their family will ever have to work again. I mean, really?
No, hell no. If your last name is Jones, you got a paycheck for the rest of your life.
You got illegitimate kids. You got all this. I mean, they're all taken care of.
Everybody's getting taken care of.
You got plenty to go around.
Everybody getting taken care of.
Yeah, and I saw this from the group at DLLS Cowboys. Saying that he'll be ready for the next step. He's got the right personality and brain. Maybe so, but it's going to be very hard to get this fan base pumped up. It's going to be a wait and see approach, and they're going to have to really, really earn a lot. They're making our jobs as quote unquote the super fans, or however way you want to put it. It's making our job very hard to. stay there. So I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to go with the easy hire. Maybe Joy knows something we don't know, and if it happens, we sure know that she knows how to get the information. So and I don't know if it'd work out, but I would be excited. I really would. I'd be excited for something to give us a shot in the arm.
I would.
But we'll see. But hey, Cowboys Nation, we had a great show, man. It's an hour and a half. We went through it. We obviously had Terrence Parsons, a great guest. If you guys aren't following him, you need to check out his content. He's got some great shows, great new shows coming up with Tad Prescott. And I forgot the other one, but there's another one that another great partner in there doing it, but he's doing his thing, and I had it written down, so let me just give him the credit. Unwanted Opinion on YouTube, so check that out. Also, Real Talk Pod. You can follow that group. He's all over the place. He's doing these podcasts, and then you guys can follow him at TPARS _BOII. If you haven't followed him already, go check him out, man. It was a lot of fun. I'm not going to say, there may be a chance there might be a show tomorrow with a special guest. I'm not going to say anything because I'll be honest, I don't know if I have the total faith in it, but if it does, it will be memorable because they always are. So we'll let you guys know if something happens. But Kelly, you got any final thoughts before we roll out of here?
Nah, just everybody stay warm in this cold ass weather that's going on right now. I feel like the world got turned upside down. You got Florida with snow, and it's cold as shit still up here, and it's cold in Texas. It's cold everywhere. It's cold down south. It's cold. Like the whole country is just cold. There's a blanket of cold going on right now, and I'm ready for warm weather and margaritas. Is what I'm ready for.
We get a new president, all of a sudden there's no more global warming. It's global freezing. I don't know what the hell's going on around here.
All right, fix global warming day one, I guess. Good job there, buddy.
He's already making things happen. So you guys take care, man. We had a great time. We'll see you soon. See ya. Bye. See ya.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.